Arlene gave me this when I came in. I think this is wonderful. I'd love to hear it. This is the report from your committee that you worked on a couple of times, and I just want to read the first paragraph. When asked how an ideal community would look, this group agreed they would like a community pretty much like we have. Wonderful, makes me feel good. Makes us feel good. They cited that they enjoyed the small town feel of a caring community. That is critical. And for 15 years in our planning efforts, we have tried to build into our ordinances our ability to maintain that small town feel. When I go to national planning conferences, they have seminars on that with communities that have lost it. You don't have to go very far. It's a little controversial maybe, but Fishers. Fishers grew from a town of 2,000 to a town of 62,000 in a couple of decades. And I'm sure that there's several of the old timers down there that remember when Fishers had a small town feel. And you grow too fast, if you don't prepare yourselves, then you lose it. They like to feel safe, they like that the town is clean, and they also like that the town takes pride in its local history. To segue into the next thing I want to talk about, before I do that, I want to give a lot of praise and acknowledgement to Joe and the Museum Board for the encounter. It's those types of events that speak to our small town feel and our uniqueness. Our pet parade is another one. Our baseball parade this weekend, we will have hundreds and hundreds of kids that we close the road off and allow them to parade right down Main Street, and it's a big deal for them. And I probably shouldn't start listing events because I'm going to leave somebody out. The June Jamboree, the Heritage Fair, and I apologize if I left anybody out, but those are the kinds of things that add to our small town spirit. That it's vital that as we continue to grow, which we inevitably will, that we maintain our ability to have that small town feel. Trails, projects. We're currently working on a trails project out by the middle school. We have some clean air money. We are participating with the school for some safe routes to school federal funding, which may be another $250,000, and our hope is in the next year or so to put together a really nice trail project to better connect the middle school with Marsh's and Wendy's and the park and the library, so there's a much safer route and a handicap accessible route for someone to go from this library or that swimming pool to the new middle school. Historic preservation. The town for about 15 years now has, maybe 18 years, has most of the old part of Pendleton been on the historic register. That was due to the wonderful efforts of a number of people, and that's vitally important to us. As you drive through central Indiana, many, many communities have historic this, historic that. What they can't back it with is having most of their old town, like Pendleton and Madison, Indiana, on the National Register of Historic Places. We can back that, and we take that very seriously. About 15 years ago, we redid the zoning ordinance and we worked some protection into that. About maybe 10 years ago, we redid the downtown business design guidelines to have further protection for our historic buildings. Last fall, we have implemented a Historic Preservation Commission. That's a separate board. And now what we're doing is repealing our downtown business design guidelines, getting that more under the control of the Historic Preservation Board with their focus, and then we'll look at actually rewriting those, cataloging our buildings, taking some of the bits and pieces from here and there. Ball State's done some, and bits and pieces from here and there, and freshening it and establishing each building in that historic preservation zone as contributing, non-contributing, the area that it is, and so forth, to be all part of our Historic Preservation Commission ordinances in town. So the town has set the tone and leading by example, and now we're following up with some more detailed ordinances. Those things always get controversial. Zoning is controversial. On one hand, you've got, hey, it's my property. This is America. I will do with it what I want. Nobody gonna tell me anything what to do. The other side of that is such tight control that we will tell you what shade of green to paint your front door and what type of stain to use on your windows. Neither extreme works. So what the local elected officials have done for 15 years and continue to do as we slowly and deliberately decide what's best for us is to come somewhere here and we get from extremes to practical. And what makes sense, what can we do to keep that small town spirit, keep the historic fabric of the town intact, yet allow for the inevitable growth and not stifle that too much. So that's where we seek that balance, and our current efforts are with this Historic Preservation Commission.